Hi Harish, good morning.
Good morning, MK.
We'll start the class within 10. We'll wait for 10 more minutes and we'll start the class.
Sure.
Okay, we'll start the class. Let me share my screen. Yeah, hope you're able to see my screen. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So today we are going to discuss about the EC2, right? So what is an EC2? EC2. What is an EC2? EC2 is nothing but elastic cloud compute. Elastic cloud compute, right? So what is this elastic cloud compute? Why it is very popular and it's very important in the cloud services. One of the most important uh, cloud services is EC2, right? So even in the Azure or GCP, wherever you take, this is the kind of base foundation. EC2 is, this cloud compute is the kind of basic foundation one, which is very, very important. All right. So why it is important? So EC2 is something, EC2 is a kind of like, if you imagine it's a kind of your laptop, right? So in your laptop, you're attending the class, you are doing the stuff and you are installing an applications, all these things you are doing. In the same way, EC2 is something kind of like it's a kind of virtual machine, right? So which AWS will provide you to do some kind of installing the applications or if you want to uh, run some applications or if you want to do some kind of work. So it's a kind of virtual laptop. Simple ways, it's a kind of virtual laptop, or it's a kind of computer in the cloud, right? So that is what the elastic cloud compute. So how come, how come the name got derived? Like, what is an elastic? So elastic is something kind of this server, whatever the Amazon is going to provide. So that server is resizable. Like if you want to if you want to uh, expand that server, or if you want to add some more servers to that, or you can resize to the server, you can resize that server, or whatever you want, you can do. You can add some hard disks to that, right? How can you increasing the server means what? So you can increase the power of the server, like adding the hard disk, or adding the motherboards to that, or adding memory to that, right? So that is what the elastic means. It's like, elastic means what? So it's flexibility. So you can resize, you can shrink the EC2 instance, right? So this is what the elastic means. Like cloud. So where it got hosted? Cloud is nothing but in the, either in the AWS, you cannot see that, right? So EC2, as I told, it is a simple kind of virtual machine, right? So there is a physical machines, and that physical machine will be chunked into virtual machines, right? VMs. These are called the VMs. Okay. One physical machine, they will divide into number of virtual machines, and they will give it to the clients. They will give it to the tenants. So we call it as a tenants in the real time. So what do you mean by tenants? Tenants are nothing but the clients, like consumers, right? So if for example, you are one of the tenant, right? So you are kind of customer. Tenant is nothing but a customer, right? So they will give VMs to the respective tenants, and they will utilize these VMs. They will utilize the virtual machines, right? So that is what the EC2 is. Elastic Cloud is hosted, where it's getting hosted, right? And the next one is compute. So what do you mean by compute? So compute is nothing but it's a kind of so compute. So what do you mean by compute? Compute is nothing but it's a kind of the computations where it happens. What do you mean by computations? So where do you execute all these things, right? So where do you execute? You need something else. Sorry. So you need elastic cloud compute. Okay. It's elastic is nothing but it's a kind of flexibility. Cloud is nothing but hosting, where it got hosted, and compute is kind of where the computations, right? Our machine, like kind of hard disk, or memory, or hard motherboard, all these kind of computations where it will happen, that is what the compute is, right? So it's a kind of, you can take it as computer as well. Like, you can call it as a computer where the computations, everything will happen. So now you got it right. So what is an EC2? EC2 is elastic cloud compute. So as I told, it's a very powerful EC2, I mean, powerful service in the AWS, right? So imagine, like, imagine if you want to create a building from the, I mean, you give an instruction and the complete building got constructed, right? Without workers, without walls, without nothing. Just you tell them that, okay, construct this building to me, like construct 30 by 40 or 30 by 50 complete building to me with an interiors like that. So you just give the instruction and it will build complete easy, I mean, complete house for you. So that is what the server is. So you just tell them that, okay, create server with an OS called Ubuntu or OS called Windows. So it will completely create it for you with a hard disk, with a motherboard, everything it will create and it will give it to you, and you can happily work on that. So that is what the EC2 is, right? So now coming to pricing models, we have. So hope you understood what is an EC2 is, right? And now coming to the pricing models. Now coming to the pricing. So what you got the EC2, right? I mean, you got the EC2 in the sense you know what is EC2. Now, if you want to utilize this service, so how do you what is the kind of payment you need to do? For example, if it is a free tier, it's not required. Like, I mean, we can use it for general purpose and we can just remove it or we can just discard it, right? So in the companies, in the real time, so how do we use it? So you cannot use like this how we are using it, and you cannot just throw it away, right? So it requires some kind of pricing model, right? So that is where, like, we have five pricing models. One is on demand, one is on demand, and another one is reserved, and another one is spot, and another one is savings, like bank savings, right? And another one is dedicated host, dedicated hosts, right? So what is this on demand? So on demand pricing is something, there is no commitment. It is bit expensive and there is no commitment. Commitment, what do you mean by commitment? Commitment is something you need to use this VM, which VM you have taken, you have to use that VM for 3 years or 4 years. That commitment you should give to AWS. Then only, like, it's a kind of they will give for the less expensive, like that, right? So in this on demand, it's like pay per hour or second. How much you pay per use. So how much you use, that only you pay. For example, you paid for, I mean, you used for 1 hour, right? That only you pay. More than that, you don't pay 1 rupee also. It is very useful. For example, when you want, so there are some kind, I mean, night time you don't require the server. Okay. So morning time you require the server and you work on that, and night time you don't require, you just shut it down, right? And when you shut it down the server, when you shut down the server, the cost will be saved, right? So you don't need to keep it continuously 24 by 7. And there are instances where there are holidays like Sundays, Saturdays. So you don't need that server. You can switch it off, right? So pay as you go. Like, I mean, pay. per use. How much you use, that only you pay. So it will be very helpful for the companies, right? So I mean, the companies where their use cases, they're not, they doesn't want the server to use on the holidays, or for example, there is a Diwali, or for example, Christmas. You take Christmas, or you take the holiday seasons. So then no one will use that server, right? So when no one is uses that server, it's not required for them to keep it on, right? They can switch it off. So that is where it is useful on demand, right? It's like paying an auto rickshaw, right? So paying for an auto rickshaw when you want, you just book for an Uber or anything what you want. You just hop in, you just reach the destination. That's it. Pay only for that ride. You will pay only for that ride, right? So that is what. So it is mainly used for development, right? Development or testing. So which doesn't require, right? So testing for testing or for the development. So whenever you want, you can use this on demand, and you can, people will use this on demand instances, and they will throw it off, right? So it's like now we are using, right, T2 T3 micro. Now we are just using the servers, and you just, whenever it's completed, you just throw it off, right? So that is what on demand is. So what is reserved? So what is reserved? Reserved is something you need to commit for 1 to 3 years, 1 year or 3 years. So it's a kind of commitment you need to give it to the AWS people. I mean, AWS, I mean, the cloud people saying that I'll use this server for 1 year or 3 years. I'll use it continuously, like that. So you are purchasing a server, right? Like you are purchasing a virtual server. It's like simply you're like purchasing the kind of virtual server for like 1 year or 3 years. After that, they will retention that. I mean, they will you can stop it, or they will claim that server, right? So it is cheaper. Like I think like it's almost 70% cheaper compared to this. It's come 70% cheaper compared to on demand. Why? Because there, when there is a continuous payment for you, I mean, payment to AWS people from you, right? For 1 year. So obviously they will give you the discount, right? So that is how the market is. So they will give 70% cheaper than what you get with the on demand, right? So that is reserved instance. Like you take the bus pass, right? When you take the bus pass, it will be cheaper compared to when you go for daily with the money, right? When you go with the daily ticket, compared to that, when you take the bus pass, it will be cheaper, right? In the same way, right? So it is used for like predictable workloads, right? Kind of databases, right? And so that's where this reserve will be used. And now the spot. What is a spot instance? So spot instances are the cheapest instances, like you will get for 90% of the discount. So what is the spot instances? So spot instances are something AWS can terminate anytime, right? So it's like there is a kind of bidding happens, and in that bidding, you will be getting the AWS instance is very cheaper, right? Like as I told, like 90%. There is no commitment, no on demand, nothing. So when there is a bidding happen, you just go and you just bid for like very less dollars. You immediately use it, and you throw it. Like you no need to throw it. Like immediately when immediately like AWS can terminate this instance anytime, right? So it's a kind of like buying and what do we call, in a train you are just buying a general ticket, right? So it's cheap, it's a super cheap, but there is no guarantee of the seat. It's like that, right? And so it's mainly used for kind of batch processing or ML model trainings or rendering the jobs, right? So these all things it will be used for the spot instances, right? And now the savings. So what do you mean by saving plan? It's similar to reserve. It's the same as reserve, right? But more but more flexible that's it. It's everything related to the reserved plan itself. I mean, it's both are both are similar, right? And now now the last one is dedicated hosts. What is dedicated hosts? Dedicated hosts are nothing but it's a kind of physical server. They will give you, these are all the VMs I spoke about, right? This is something. Dedicated hosts are nothing but physical server. So it's like they will give you the complete server, right? And they will give you the complete server or dedicated, like they will uh, allocate the complete physical server for you only itself. It's completely for you. So you can use however you want. You can create the VMs or you can do whatever you want with that physical server. So it's mainly used for the kind of compliance, right? I told you, right? If there are some sensitive data you want to store it, right? For example, banking applications or anything. So they will take the complete physical server, right? And it's a kind like licensing of Oracle or SQL server, right? So for those kind of use cases, we use this dedicated hosts, right? Any doubts till now in the pricing model? Anyone?
No.
Oh. So now we'll see about types of EC2 instances, right? So what types of EC2 instance, what type of servers the AWS is providing to us, right? So there are T, EM, and we have C, and we have uh, like R or X or Z series we have, and we have uh, P or G series. It's a kind of yeah, GPU instances. And we have I, comma D. We have, right. So these are the instances what we have in the these are the kind of types of instances what we have for the AWS. What is T type? So T type is something. It's just a kind of general purpose, right? So we have T2, T3, T4. It's just a kind of general purpose. What is a general purpose? Like balance of CPU. So just to make sure that system is up, right? So it's those are called general purpose, like for web server or small applications, like for free tier, right? For all these things, we use this T size, right? T size or M size. M also like it will be used for this small workloads, or if you want to use it temporarily, right? So you just want to uh, I mean, think of a kind of just if you want to use for time pass and all, we use this T series and M series, right? So no cost associated, nothing. So just those are like just playing, just you open, just you uh, practice, just practice and move on, right? So that is what the T series is. Next, compute. So it's a kind of C series where high CPU, right? So for example, gaming servers, right? For example, for developing the gamers, gaming and all we use for which requires high CPU, right? High performance for which requires the applications which requires high performance, right? The compute series. So that is where the CPU, this type of servers they will use, right? And now coming to memory. So these RxZ are called, I mean, these series are called memory optimized. What is this memory optimized? For example, high RAM. These VMs consists of high RAM, right? For example, you want to use the databases or cache. So these all servers, they will use this R series or X series or Z series. Like we have R5, right? We have R6. So these are the naming conventions what we have, right? So why we use RxZ, right? So that is where we use for memory optimized, like databases, right? And for we use for databases or which requires high RAM intense applications, right? So that is where we use this. And P or G, this is for GPU, right? For ML or AI, we use these kind of VMs, right? Machine learning or video renderings like AI. I mean for AI, all these things we use P or G series. And the last one is I or D series. I or D series are nothing but it's kind of high disk input operations, input operations. So it is used for big data, right? Big data or data warehouses. So for those kind of use cases, we use this high disk IOPS, like where you need input operations, input and output operations are very high, right? So for those, we use this I series VMs, I series virtual machines, right? Any doubts till now? Anyone? No?
No, sir.
Oh. So, so this is what till now what we spoke about. What is an EC2, right? And why we why we use the sorry, why we use the EC2 and types of EC2 instances, right? The pricing model and we use the why we use the the pricing model and when to use the EC2 instances. So these all things we learn. Right. Now coming to the class, coming to the service. See, in the interview, in the real time, they might ask what type of EC2 instances you have worked on. I mean, in the interview, they might ask what type of EC2 instances you have worked on. So you should not say that I have worked on T2, T3 like that. T2, T3 is something when you in the real time they will not work on T2, T3, right? So you should say something. So I had worked on high RAM instances like R series, and I had worked on X series as well, and also I had worked on P series and G series. P series are like nothing, as you told, like, for ML training, which requires high GPU. And I had worked on G series as well for graphics, and for machine learning and video rendering, I had worked on, and also storage optimized instances like I3 or D4, D2, like those kind of instances I have worked on, like for big data and data warehouses. So, like if you explain like this, no, so he will be having an impression stating that, so okay, he had worked on, he is having the real time experience like that, right? Now, see, I told you, right? So what are the spot instances, saving plan, reserved instances, dedicated hosts, capacity reserves, reservations, right? So see, reserved instances. So we do not have anything. So see, it is asking for purchase reserved instances. So it is something kind of you need to purchase these spot instances, create a plot fleet request. So you can create multiple servers. Like, you can create like 10 to 20 servers at a time, right? So in the spot requests. So it's like bidding, you need to do the bidding, right? And now go to the instant. So this is what the dashboard is. This is what the this is how it looks like, right? So it is region specific, right? So EC2 instances are region specific. So you are seeing the data centers, right? So you're seeing the data centers. It's coming to the Vizag or wherever, like in the Mumbai, wherever you see the data centers, right? So in the data centers, what it will be there? Servers will be there. So that servers are nothing but EC2 instances. Like 10 EC2 instances consists of like they might be in the backend. They might divide one physical server into 100 VMs or depends on, right? And you're seeing, so this is what the regions, these are the regions, and these is where the servers are there in the backend. And now coming to the EC2 instance, these are the instances, which is VMs, right? And this is auto scaling group. What is an auto scaling group? Anyone? Anyone? No? So auto scaling groups are nothing but, so you can adjust number of EC2 instances according to your demand, right? So for example, I have you take the um, IRCTC website. So previously, how it used to be there? It used to crash every time when the Tatkal time is. Hope everyone is from India and everyone knows the Tatkal and IRCTC, right? Anyone, right?
Yes, sir.
Everyone, yeah, everyone knows, right? So previously, what used to happen? Some you take a decade back, or like, when everyone logs in, everyone logs at 10 o'clock, exactly at 10 o'clock. What happens? The system used to crash completely, or it used to slow down completely. The IRCT website will become slow, or it used to act very weirdly, right? But now, even you take the TTT or whatever. So now what's happening? It's able to scale the cloud. It's able to scale the traffic, right? So it's able to scale in the sense it's able to consume the traffic. How much traffic the website gets also, it's able to consume, right? How it's able to consume in the backend. For example, you take the Hotstar, India versus Pakistan match. How in the last hours, how much? How much traffic? You can see the viewers like. It's like more than billion people watches that kind of crores of people watches the streaming, right? How it's handling that much traffic? How is it happening in the backend? Only because of this auto scaling. So auto scaling means whenever there is a demand, right? Whenever there is a demand, it will automatically add the servers to this. For example, I have two servers. When there is a when there is a demand, right? At that particular peak period, it will add. I mean, how many servers it requires? It will take those servers. Like there are two, it will become five when there is a peak load, right? So when the after the peak load is completed, immediately it will come to two servers. So what's happening in that time? So whenever there is a traffic, it's able to consume, right? And also whenever there is no traffic, it is not wasting your resources, right? That is what the auto scaling is. Okay, we'll go much deeper when we are speaking about the auto scaling and when we configure the auto scaling groups and all, right? So as of now, just understand what is an auto scaling is. Auto scaling is something kind of adjusts the number of EC2 instances or the workload automatically when there is a demand, ensuring high availability and fault tolerance. High availability and fault tolerance, right? So that is what that is what we use for auto scaling, right? And we have dedicated hosts, capacity reserves, all these things, right? I'll just go on EC2 instance and I'll just click on. Okay, I'll just touch base on what are these things. What is an AMI? What is an AMI? Anyone? What is this? So AMI is something Amazon Machine Image, right? So so Amazon Machine Image. What is an Amazon Machine Image? So Amazon Machine Image is something kind of you just take the snapshot of what you are working. That's it. It's just a kind of snapshot, right? So it's a for example, you had created a server with a complete, I mean, application, all these things. It's just a kind of template. So you want to use the same template. You want to use the same applications, same configurations, everything you want to use it, and you want to create another server with the same configuration, right? So that is where you take the snapshot of the your current you take the snapshot of your current virtual machine and you create it. So that is the snapshot is nothing but AMI, Amazon Machine Images, right? So there are multiple AMIs available in the market. See, for example, see this Amazon Linux, right? So SUSE Linux. So what is this AMIs? AMIs, as I told, they have installed the application in this server and they will give it to you and you can use those AMIs, right? So we we have AWS Marketplace, right? So see this Microsoft servers and Palo Alto. Palo Alto, what is this Palo Alto? So it's a kind of see you have for example, you have your mobile, right? In your mobile there are some applications, right? For some applications like I mean like Spotify or you need to pay the subscription, right? So in the same way in the industry also, you if you want to use something you need to pay the subscription. For example, you are utilizing the Oracle, Microsoft MySQL, you need to pay the subscription for that. You need to pay for what you use, right? You need to pay for uh, MySQL or Oracle subscription, in order to use the MySQL database, right? So what this AWS is offers is it offers you with an license, including the license, it will offer you for the lesser cost. Hope you are understanding. You can stop me anywhere if you don't understand. Okay. So for example, you take the Red Hat. So you need to pay the subscription model for Red Hat. So it will AWS will take in the bulk. So it will give it will get it for a lesser price, and it will give it to you. It includes the cost for the server, everything it will include, and it will give it to you as a whole bunch of package, right? So that is what the AMI does. So if you see, there are community AMIs, right? Community AMI are nothing but the servers. So marketplace AMI is something for like if you take the SAP or SAP. So you can take the publisher. See how many publishers are there, like Code Creator, like I mean Citadel Security, right? There are 39. There are so many Cisco, right? So NVIDIA. What is NVIDIA? AI GPU optimized, right? So these and all like if you see $0 to $20 per hour, right? So these and all like if you want to do the test driven, it comes with all the package. So you just install it, you just need to select it, and you just need to use it. That's it. So that is what the AMIs are. And now coming to Elastic Block Storage. So what is Elastic Block Storage? EBS, we call it as an EBS. So Elastic Block Storage is something, it's a kind of hard disk. It's like an hard disk of your server for your server, right? So if your instance stops, right, the EVM remains safe. It will not see. For example, do you see any instances here? No. Do you see any instances? I stopped it, right? But is it running? No, right? It's a kind of hard disk. In a simple way, in simple understanding, you can fill it as EBS is nothing but a hard disk, right? And now coming to instance in the EBS, like I mean in the network, in the storage, for the EC2, we have EBS, Elastic Block Storage. We call it as Elastic Block Storage. So it is a kind of hard disk, right? It is a kind of hard disk for server, right? And we have another one called instance store. Instance store, and we have EFS. EFS is nothing but Elastic File System. So how many of you heard about NFS, Network File System, right? So we'll learn about all these things. And another one is S3. S3 is object-oriented storage, and we'll discuss about that one as well. So these are kind of storage systems are available for EC2, right? And now coming to the networking. So these are all storage for EC2, and we have the networking called security groups and NACLs. Will speak about all these things, and I'll just tell you these are all components of the EC2, right? Elastic IP and Elastic IP and EN9, Elastic Network Interface. Network interface, right? So what are the security groups is very important, right? So what are the security groups? Security groups is like a firewall. It will allow or the block traffic to your instance. Like if you want to allow some traffic inside your, if you want to, it's a kind of doors you can for your home. It's a kind of doors. Like if you want to allow something, you open the door, you just allow them in, and you just close the door, right? So if you want to send them someone, if you want to send out, so you just open the door, you just kick them out, and you just close it. So security groups are something like of something kind of firewalls which allow or block the traffic network, allow or block traffic, right? So that is what the security groups are. And now coming to the NACLs. NACLs are, these are also kind of security, kind of firewall, but it applies at the subnet level. Sure. These are called at the subnet level, right? So I'll tell you what are the subnets. Subnets are nothing but when you want, uh, it's like a kind of gated community. You take off gated community, right? So to enter your home, you will open the door, that is security groups, right? So if there are multiple homes, and if the, checking the traffic, checking, doing the scanning at the gate itself, that is what the NACLs are. Like there are multiple flats, and he will check there only. Like he will get scanned, or he will get the details, or he will enter. Even there are two types of entrance for your home, right? So one is, two types of entrance in the sense, he need to first he need to enter from the gate, right? There the security scan will happen. After that, he will enter to your home, like to from your flat. Like in your flat, there is one more door. There are two doors, right? That is what NACLs. NACLs are entering kind of uh, inside when if you want to enter the traffic inside your, like kind of inside your premises, that is where NACLs are works, and inside your server, inside your instance, so that is where the security groups are helpful. And now coming to Elastic IP. Elastic IP is something, it's a kind of uh, where it is, yeah. Elastic IP is something static IP. Static IP means we can call it as, mm, you will be having only one IP for your instance, right? It's a kind of having a fixed IP. So it's not dynamic. It will not change. It will be like static. It will be like only one IP, right? If your even if your instance starts, even if your even whatever happens, this IP remains same, right? So if you want to host some websites or web applications that require a fixed IP, so that is where we use this static IP, right? And now come the last one is elastic network interface. What is an elastic network interface? So it's a kind of networking, virtual networking attached to your EC2 instances, right? So it is used for load balancer or firewall, so all these things. So that is what the high level of the EC2 instance networking. So we'll speak about networking and all when we have, when we go to the VPCs and all, right? So how do you create an instance? Go here, right? So I'll tell you the life cycle of the instance. So what is the life cycle of an instance? So life cycle is just starting, start, stop, and terminate. So what is an, so when you start it, so it will start, and when you can stop the instance and you can terminate. Terminate is something delete. It's completely deleting your instance, right? So that is what the life cycle is. Just how do you uh, create an instance? Just here, click on launch instance. So here you can see, you can give the tags. So what tag you can, tag is nothing but the name, what name you want to give for your instance, right? Like I'll give uh, test server, right? And as I told, these are the AMIs. You can use any of the AMI like Amazon, Ubuntu, even Windows, SUSE. So these are all the flavors, right? So you can use Amazon Linux, right? I'll keep it as it is. And now coming to, these are all AMI specific related things. And now here, as I told, right? So instances, what type of instances we have? T2 and kind of C5 compute, I mean high CPU, right? And we have, see how many instances like D type we have. C is not supported by the instance, right? So see how many instances we have, like what type of instances, big, I mean, M instances. So this is how you need to select. So I'm selecting the T2 micro, which is a free tier, right? And now key pair. Key pair is something you need to connect you to your instance, right? So key pair is something, it's a kind of SSH or SSH access. What do you mean by SSH? SSH is something server, I mean, if you want to securely connect to your instance, so that is what the SSH is, right? So you need to create an key pair login, key pair, so that create a key pair, right? So this is what the RSA is. How you want to connect to your system, how securely you want to connect to your system, right? So you need to create an, for example, if you need to, you're using an Windows laptop, you just create a new key pair, right? So all for me already I am having, so I'm not creating it. So if you are not having, so you just create a key pair, right? Just click on create key pair, right? And I'm selecting test server. I already created test. I mean, I already have one key pair, and that's the reason I'm selecting that key pair, right? And here comes to the network security groups. I told you, right? Security groups. So here allow SSH traffic from anywhere, right? Allow, so security groups, as I told, you can allow or you can block the incoming traffic. You can block the incoming traffic, or you want to allow the incoming outgoing traffic. Anything you can do from the security groups, right? I'll keep it as it is as of now. And the storage. So I told you, right? EBS, elastic block storage. So how much storage you need? Like 8 GB you want or 7 GB you want? How much GB you want? You can have that storage, and you just click on launch instance. Yeah, that's it created. So you can go to dashboard, right? You can click on instances. See, one test server is running. You just click on that, copy the public IP, right? And search the, you need to install the putty. What is a putty? Putty is a kind of SSH utility tool where you, if you want to connect to the server, you use this putty, right? So we created a .pem file. Hope you with an, we created a .pem file, right? So you just click on go to the SSH, click on auth, expand this, click on credentials, click on browse private key for authentication, test server, open, and go to the session and paste here the public IP and click on open. See, and the user is EC2 user. Done. We are able to log into the server. So this is how we create the server and login. We log in, right? So sudo yum update -y. Sudo yum install httpd -y, right? So we are installing it. If you want to install any package, you can install, right? Sudo yum upgrade. It's up to date. Yum update -y. Yeah. So any doubts till here? That's it. So we install the server and you can use the server as it is. However you want, you can use it. Right? Any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay. So try to install, you people try to, and see, anytime what you do is after you do your work, after you, for example, once you created a server and you done with your all the practice, select all these things, click here, terminate, or click here, like, see, action, instance state, stop instance. If you terminate it, that's that will be more than, I mean, I'm more than happy. But what I suggest is just terminate the instances so that it will not cost you. See, I'm just terminating it, right? So terminating is nothing but deleting it. So if you delete the instances, you will not get cost associated. I mean, you will not get any cost, right? So that's it, guys. If you have any doubts, just let me know. You have 2 minutes more. And tomorrow we'll discuss about another service, right? VPC, we'll see.
Manikanta will be having classes in Azure also, right?
Yeah,
Azure.
you will be having in Azure as well. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And most of the things will be covered in AWS or in Azure in these classes.
So AWS itself, like say, coming to AI ML ops, those services mostly covered in AWS itself, because AWS is most suitable for these AI or ML ops services compared to Azure. So we will be teaching. I mean, see everything. I mean, these DevOps kind of AWS DevOps and Azure DevOps we are going to touch base on, but these MLOps services will be touch based on only in AWS.
But I need only Azure DevOps to be covered for me so that I have joined the classes.
Yeah, Azure DevOps also, as I told, Azure DevOps also we are going to touch base on.
But most of the subject you will be teaching on AWS basis only, right?
When coming to MLOps, I'm saying AWS SageMaker. When coming to MLOps services, Then I'll touch base on AWS services. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not part of MLOps. I am just into DevOps.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Then it will be AWS and Azure both. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
And I have gone through your videos like last 2 weeks, but I'm feeling little bit lag in communication. Sorry to say.
Yeah, yeah. I'll see. I'll see that one. Yeah. Still, anything else? Anything else regarding this today's topic or yesterday's topics?
No.
Yeah. Thanks, Harish. Thanks then. If you have any doubts related, related to technical or anything, so you can just post your queries in the chat. We can take it up. Thank you, guys.